New Mexico, Ms. Leger Fernández, for time of questioning.
Thank you. And as somebody who's actually run a business, owned a business, managed a business, I think the question before us is really on whose side is Congress going to be, right? And what surprises me is the fact that right now Americans are hurting. It isn't a moment in time where Americans are feeling great, right? Unemployment, record high, is that right? Right? Chairman Walberg, you have to acknowledge that unemployment is at a 4-year high.
But not a record high.
I'm sorry, I said, that's why I changed.
We still
it.
have a
It was at
Biden, we have a
4-year
Biden
high.
hangover we have to get over with, so.
Well, unemployment is at a 4-year high. We have added fewer jobs in 2025 than we did in 2024. The ranking member pointed that. Are you going to debate that? You're going to dispute that? 2 million jobs are added in 2024 and 23, and how many were added in 2020?
Private sector or public sector?
How many jobs were added in 2025?
Private sector or public sector? I think you have to look at that.
584,000 jobs. Was
Well,
that what you cited?
Private sector or public sector?
584,000 jobs were added in 2025. And I think that this is the moment where Americans want us to address the fact that Congress can either put their thumb on the scale to help workers or to help big corporations. And what we did in the big, beautiful bill was to help billionaires and big corporations. And now in the bills before us, we're standing with big corporations once again. And I want to take up, we've addressed things that, I agree with what my colleagues have raised, but I want to touch on child labor. Ranking Member Scott, is there still a problem of child labor in the United States? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, and the sanctions for violations are woefully insufficient.
Right. And when we look at, I think that I have a figure here that looks like there were the Labor Department in 2023 found 102 children from 13 to 17-year-olds had been illegally employed to work at slaughterhouses by third-party contractors. Those children were doing very dangerous work, cleaning meat processing equipment, brisket saws, head splitters, and some of those children were injured. Now, they have the Save Local Businesses Act. The titles of their bills always do the opposite of what is carried out. Can you explain how the Save Local Businesses Act could potentially give a pass to those subcontractors who might have brought these children into those meat packers?
Well, the employer, in quotes, the employer would be responsible for the violation. Now the question is, who is the employer? If it's the temp agency that got them there, or is it the meat house that's working them? Actually, it's both, and that's why you have joint employment. They're both responsible. There have been some definitions of who's an employer that are so tight that when you apply it to some situations, nobody's an employer. The meat house isn't an employer. The temp agency isn't an employer. You have a wage violation, you have other violations, youth employment violation, but you can't blame anybody. What this does is make sure that somebody gets off the hook, and it's usually the one that is most responsible and can be accountable. Sometimes the temp agency is a fly-by-night operation. When they finally come down and hold them accountable, you look up and nobody's there. They close the office and run. Then you go to the meat house and say, it wasn't us. They're the employer. We don't believe in joint employment, so it's them. So you don't have anybody you don't have any responsible employer. If both have contributed to the decision, they both should be accountable to the decision and held accountable.
Right, and that just makes perfect sense, right? If you're on the floor of the meat packer, you're doing the work that they've hired the subcontract to, let's hold them both accountable. And this is the problem, like, we got rid of child labor for a reason, but if we have no mechanism to enforce the laws to protect workers, because everybody's gonna do this, if it's his fault, it's their fault, where are we at? And that's the thing of where should government stand? And I think government and the Fair Labor Standards Act and the Department of Labor and OSHA, they should be able to hold those responsible accountable for injuries. I wanted to go to childcare. And pointed out earlier, Ranking Member Scott, you have great bills. Like if you really wanted to address minimum wage, you have a bill for that. It's about time. But you also, if we really cared about childcare, you have a great bill, the Child Care for Working Families Act, right? And in New Mexico, you can address childcare without cutting people's overtime. Because that's basically how they're doing it. If somebody has negotiated to receive child care assistance as part of their terms of employment, they're not going to get overtime based on that compensation. It's overturning decades of precedent, right? And what strikes me is sometimes I see Republicans using child care to do all the wrong things. Somebody mentioned it at the beginning. I didn't know I'd head here, but they mentioned Minnesota. We have 2,000 ICE agents in Minnesota. Trump has said it's to invest child care fund. Chairman Walberg, is there, in your knowledge, any authority that I should have over child care facilities?
Only under the provisions that they would have in law that they're responsible for.
So, I don't know, have you seen the video?
I've not
of
seen
the
it.
shooting? You have not seen the video of the shooting of
Oh, the
Minnesota?
shooting, I thought you said cheating. The shooting, I've seen it, absolutely.
You've seen the video?
I've seen multiple videos.
You see the video of the shooter? That the shooter,
Saw that as well. That's not in this, that's not in any of these bills, though.
well, it is though, because I think it's what is the priority of this Congress? And when you have 2,000 agents going in, who are clearly masked, who are terrorizing the local community, who shoot a mother of three times in the face, and we don't conduct any oversight, and the ostensible reason they're there is about child care fraud, I think it is something that Congress needs to take up. And I think our failure to demand an investigation and to demand that there be oversight of what ICE is doing in our communities is a responsibility of this Congress. And our failure to do it has Americans upset, because this is not an America that people want to see, where you have masked agents shooting people, ramming people with their cars, threatening people, terrorizing a community. That's not the America that I think we want to live in. But what these bills do is clearly fail to stand with working Americans, and they strip away way too many rights. And for that reason, I hope that we oppose them. And with that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Now recognize the gentleman